Edit audio.
After my mom died, I had a lot of complicated feelings. Now, I worked through some of them with a therapist. Hi, Patricia. But at some point, I found myself writing my mom and my story. It wasn't writing it because I thought, oh, this will be the next big bestseller. I was writing it because something inside me needed to work through all that I couldn't work through while my mom was here on this earth. And it's a book that exists that I can go back to. Of course, it exists only in my Dropbox, but maybe someday it will be out there. But the truth of the matter is that really doesn't matter. Just writing the story of me and my mom allowed me to love her for all that she was, begin forgiving her for all that she wasn't, and to move forward in my life in a more healed way. Today we chat, continuing to process grief. Hello, friends. Welcome back. Today we've got a more serious topic. We're talking about grief. We're talking about loss. But of course, it's well adjusting. So we are doing it with compassion, with curiosity, and yes, some laughs along the way. Now, Will Anderson is joining us today. He's a musician, he's a content creator, and just a few years ago, his wife unexpectedly passed away in her sleep. Since then, he's gone quiet, he's grieved, and he's birthed an album about his wife. And along his journey, he's figuring out how to celebrate her, but also how to take the time that he needs to grow.
I am Will Anderson. I'm a musician, content creator, and dog dad. And I'm here today talking about the loss of my wife and the journey of grief that I find myself on and how I'm planning on moving forward in my life and what that looks like.
Well, we're obviously starting off by saying I'm very sorry. And I don't, can you tell us a little bit about, how long your wife has been gone and like what that looks like so that anyone who's listening has a context for what we're talking about?
So my wife passed away in November of 2022. We had been married for 5 years at that point and had known each other for 15. It was very unexpected. She passed away in her sleep, and it was such a shock. It's been 2.5 years since it happened, coming up on 3 years now. And it's been a very long sort of weaving process, I'd call it, of figuring out what the next step is.
Well, where are you on that journey right now? Yeah. I can only imagine the phases of, the beginning part of just you're in the trenches and just trying to survive, but then
exactly,
what it looks like after.
Yeah. So right now it's been an interesting process because I am a musician and a content creator. And, for the first 6 months, I was catatonic. I was just trying to get out of bed to walk my dogs. That was pretty much all I did. I played golf a lot, which was something that I found could turn my brain off and just allow me to have a couple hours of escape, which is really nice. But after about 6 months, I started making an album. Just out of nowhere, songs just started pouring out. All of them about Courtney, my wife, and they were really cathartic. Also very hard, obviously, to think about that stuff. And it was kind of like my brain saying it's time to get going. It's time to start thinking about this and processing it. And after I put the album out, it came out very recently. It's been sort of the question of, what do I want my life to be next? And that's really in therapy and in my own personal sort of processing of everything where I am now, which is the initial aftermath, the initial shock has worn off, the processing of it and sort of figuring out where I sort of stand on everything with the songs. And that process, it feels like taking a very big step forward. And then now it's sort of like, what is life like after all that? What is life going forward when it comes to being creative, when it comes to my job, when it comes to dating, when it comes to, figuring out what's next in my life and how to not shy away from, Courtney and my past by any means, but also figuring out how to move forward and, as a person in general.
Yeah, it's like how to talk about it, how much you say, how much you don't say.
Yeah.
Before you were like, oh, I'm writing an album, was there like a real awareness of I want to do this, I'm processing something? Or was it just like, you were just like, I have to do this, I can't really think about anything else right now? Or
I literally, it was funny. The day I wrote the first song, it sort of popped into my head, it came to me at a coffee shop. I knew in that moment I was going to have to do it. There was no sort of like, I don't know what's going to happen next. It was like, oh gosh, here it comes. Like, I'm going to write a bunch of songs about this. I didn't know that they would ever come out and see the light of day, but it really, on the creative side, was just something I had to do and something that I didn't really have a choice, which I'd never really experienced before. This was the first time I'd ever really had a process where it was just sort of the universe has decided that this is how you're going to process it. And I knew that I was going to have to at least write the songs, probably record them. And then what happens after that, I didn't know, but I just knew in that moment that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's like I think of, writing an essay or something about something that's very hard. And I always try to be like, I'm just going to write it. And I don't have to decide what I'm doing with this, because I feel like if you had an idea of what you wanted to do, it might have gotten in the way of what you needed to say.
Oh, yeah. And talking to my therapist, who I've seen for years, he wasn't surprised at all. He's like, I think your brain was working more than you realized during those 6 months. And I think that subconsciously underneath the surface, there was a lot going on that it was on safety mode. You didn't really know what was happening. But I think I was probably the only one who was surprised. Everyone else in my life who knew me and who knew how much I love writing songs and how much that meant to me was, that was obviously something that I think they all expected at some point or another, but I guess I just didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Well, you had bigger fish to fry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, like, how did you feel when you were done? And like, I'm making the assumption that there was a time frame between like finishing and then you being like, oh, I feel like I want to put these out so other people can hear them. Like in revisiting it, how's that been?
It's so weird because there was a year between when I finished recording it and then when it came out. And it was almost a sense of relief when I finished it. Yeah. And then it was pretty wild to come back to it. And the thing that I found really interesting was I was in a totally different place than when I finished it. And even when I started it.
Yeah.
And the people who were hearing it for the first time, they were hearing it for the very first time in the same state that I had been in almost when I was 6 months right after my wife had passed away. So I was on a very longer timeline and they were sort of delayed. And I felt almost bad because people, I think, were experiencing through the songs that sort of initial shock of grief and trying to process it and being confused and sad. And I felt bad because I think people assume that's where I still was.
Yeah.
And I'm having to say, hey, like, I'm on in the next step of my journey. Like, this is a snapshot of a very specific period of my grief process, I guess you could call it. And so I had to come to terms with the fact that everything's kind of delayed at this point. So it's been a really interesting having to come to terms with that and sort of like understand that that's not a bad thing at all. It's just a different thing than where I am.
Yeah. We did an episode where I was, Steph hoodwinked me and I was in a bad place, and we did this episode and we've re-aired it. And even by the time it aired, I was in a much better place. And we were getting emails from people who were like, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. And then it was like, that's a really weird feeling because it's so lovely that people want to support you, but it's not where you are.
Yeah.
Did it also bring feelings of like joy and celebration about Courtney? Like that you were, able to like highlight what your relationship was like?
That's what I think I was most excited about putting it out. And I think what Lauren, my manager, I'll just call her Lauren from here on out, she brought it up to me saying like, this is your chance for people to get to know Courtney, and really, I think in the end, that's really what this album was. And the cool thing about being married to Courtney was she was a poet. So she taught poetry. She wrote poetry. She was a Stegner Fellow at Stanford, which is basically like me winning a Grammy. She was unbelievable and really was the most talented poet I knew. So she had this breadth of work that was left behind that I got to put together into a book, which is really cool. So with the album, we got to put together this book. And in reading these poems, I got to know Courtney in a way that I don't think I would have taken years to get to know, because I got to read these poems that she had written and live with them forever. So for the album and this book, it's been a really fun, it's almost like the joy of getting to talk about her and light up when I speak about her and tell people about it is so much fun and really like a nice, I guess, antidote to the sad stuff that comes with it as well.
Yeah.
Everything is mourning, and now with the release, it feels like I get to celebrate her and her talent and her work, and yeah, just what an amazing person she was. So it was nice to transition into that mode, away from just me being isolated and being able to sort of express it to more people than just myself in this studio room.
Yeah, that's really it's absolutely lovely. It really is. It's just like, without getting all like hokey, but like you just can't help but like wonder if wherever, I don't know where anybody goes, but if she had some kind of, especially her being a poet, if she had some kind of hand in, in the creation.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I'm gonna start crying over here. God
no,
damn it.
I know it, but I'm not woo-woo either. I call it woo-woo. It's like, I'm not very like religious. I'm not very spiritual, but I do think that somewhere in the universe, her energy or her was guiding it in some way or another. Because it's impossible to not see the finished product of her book or this album and think that she was a big giant force in it in some way.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a amazing testament to how art can heal too. Because it's so like, I think some people, it's like without that, maybe it would have gotten stuck. So it's like that it helped move it through you.
I never in a million years thought that I was somebody who processed stuff through creativity, or for me, it's music.
Yeah.
I thought that was so corny when people would say that. But the moment it started pouring out, I was like, oh, this works. Like, this is... Yeah. And I realized that about myself. I think I didn't want to admit it, but I really do process things through lyrics, through writing lyrics. Yeah. And that's the only way I can kind of organize my thoughts about something really specific. And this was just the perfect example of that, where it was like, there was so much, like you said, stuck going on in my head at that time that I really needed these songs to be able to work out even what I was feeling in the moment, just sort of to be able to express that in a way that made sense to me. And also, I think the byproduct of that is you get a song that people can relate to, but that really was just me sort of organizing my thoughts and feelings in a way that made sense in my head, Like you
were doing like the broiest thing ever, just like golfing 24/7. And then you were like, now I'm going to slide over to this other side of me and do this.
100%.
Like, it's just
it's
so
like
cool.
Golf to turn off the brain. And then my brain was like, no, I need to be turned on and we need to do this.
Knock, knock, knock. Hello,
literally,
Will.
that's exactly what it felt like.
I got emotional as you were talking about the book too. And like, I just think art is so cool. And I know that sounds so stupid. And like, I just smoked a joint before I got here or something, but like, how beautiful is it to be able to like collaborate with this person that you think is like an amazing artist and an amazing person after they've left like this physical plane? Like, that's so beautiful and so cool. And I'm so glad you took the time to do that.
It really is. When you think about it, it's just so lucky. Like, there were things in the poems that I learned about Courtney and her thoughts about stuff that I never knew. And so I felt really privileged to get to sit with that. Like I know a lot of people who lose people don't have that luxury of saying like, oh my gosh, I still get to keep her legacy alive and I still get to know her better by way of these poems. And that's really lucky and something that I don't take for granted.
Hey folks, it's Robin. All right, so we are putting together a special holiday episode and we need your help. We want to hear your worst holiday stories. The ones that today you laugh about them, but back then you were definitely crying. Or if you have an upcoming holiday situation that you're already dreading, you can tell us about that too, because we're going to take these questions and we're going to break them down, give a little bit of advice, and we're going to hopefully make you feel less alone and a little bit more amused. So send us your story. We would prefer it if you'd send us a voice memo because we love to hear you tell it, but you can write it out if that's easier for you. You can email us at hello@editodd.io, or you can DM me on the socials at RealRobHops. And do not worry, if you would rather stay anonymous, just let us know in the email, and that is totally fine. I wanted to ask, like, in the beginning, you were talking about, like, how it looks in your life right now. How is it showing up today? Is there, like, conflict about moving forward, or is there, like, what are you, like, what are you up against with that?
Yeah. It's funny. So I dated somebody for about a year throughout this process. And she was lovely, and I was really lucky to have met her at the time I did. She was just so supportive and understanding and really just so kind about it all. Like, it felt like, again, the universe sort of placed something in my path. But I mean, in that process too, you realize like there's always going to be stuff that comes with this. And after that relationship ended, it's been really sort of trying to figure out how to do life on my own right now. You know, like after Courtney passed, there was so much support and so much, there was so many people for so long. And not to say there's not anymore, but it's just a different phase, where you're getting back into the rhythm of life. And for me,
at some point, people kind of expect you to just have moved on.
Yeah,
They're kind of like in that beginning, everybody's like, "What can I do for you?"
Yeah,
and it's like that's almost not necessarily the time when you need them. You kind of need them a little bit later because in the beginning you're just like shell shocked.
Totally. And now I'm at the point where I'm living alone, for the first time in my life, not dating anybody, having this job that is keeping me busy, and it really is sort of less about my relationships outside of myself and more like figuring out things about myself and how to work through them, I guess, that I didn't, after Courtney passed, that I didn't necessarily have the bandwidth to take care of. But now it really is like, hey man, this is all about you, in a way that I think even before Courtney passed, I wouldn't have necessarily had the ability to recognize as sort of things that are affecting my life in ways that maybe, are bigger than I thought. And so right now it really is just sort of, what are the things about myself and about my past and how I am as a person that I want to like just recognize about myself, so I can move into a relationship in a way that's healthier, move into life by myself, even in a way that's kinder to myself. My therapist, I think, is going to have a job for a long time, because it's for me now, having a taste of being in a relationship again and sort of realizing like, okay, there's things that I think I can be better at. There's things that I think are a result of, being a widower that maybe I wasn't giving enough credence to in the moment with that relationship. And, there's a lot of stuff that comes with that. I think it's important for me to be better about those things, or to be at least aware of them in a way that maybe I wouldn't be otherwise.
Well, what's so interesting is like, I think, especially with men, I mean, I hate to make like sweeping generalizations, but like when men lose someone, it seems like it's always like there's a space of, a little bit of like processing, and then there's like getting themselves ready for whoever comes next. And it just seems like society wise, it's very much like they can't handle it on their own. I'm so happy, especially given how young you are, to hear you just be like, there's things I should be looking at myself.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's lovely. I'm just curious, like how that's showing up for you, like what you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I think obviously there's a lot of trauma that came with the sudden death of somebody that, was my best friend and the love of my life. And I don't think I appreciated how, my therapist always says, if it's hysterical, it's historical, like how much of my reactions to things, even to that trauma, are a result of things that came way before that trauma, and so, in my relationships with my family, with my friends, and with the dating stuff, it can be, it's amazing how patterns that maybe I had fallen into, whether, selfish stuff and stuff that was just me, going into fight or flight mode or whatever you want to call it, like as a result of triggers, I guess you could say, from the trauma were things that I was doing even before, the most traumatic event in my life. And being able to recognize that and look and say, no, you just fell back into this pattern that you always done. And it's more, how about you break that pattern? The trauma was just something that put you back into that place to be able to say like, okay, how do I get out of this cycle that's, hurting other people, that's being selfish, that's, trying to protect myself or whatever it is, in a way that it's hard to explain, but it is very much, I think, going back and realizing that these patterns of my reactions to the trauma, those are things that I have to work on. And I think just specifically like in relationships, again, being selfish, being not present, isolating myself, kind of projecting my own sort of past onto them. It just wasn't fair to them. It wasn't fair to, my family, my friends, the kind of people who care about me in a way that I think is probably, especially now after what happened, more than I could ever deserve. But I'm sitting there being, so wrapped up in my own stuff that I think I failed to recognize that in a way that was like fair to them, I guess you could call it. But
it's like, wonder how much longer it might have taken you to get to all that shit if something horrible hadn't happened.
I don't know if I ever would have. Yeah, I don't know if it ever would have. But I'm glad now that I can have sort of a blueprint of being able to map that out, which is really interesting to me, to be able to say like, hey, like you have a pattern, you have a cycle that you tend to fall into when bad things happen. It's funny, like right now it really is just sort of even just recognizing it in the moment is such a big thing for me to be able to say like, I might not be able to change it right now, but like I can notice what I'm doing and at least verbalize that and say like, I know this is what's happening. I need to take a pause for a second. I don't necessarily know what the next step would be. Obviously there are tools that I am still learning that I can figure out, but it is funny, like even just like being aware of that. I don't know if I ever would have been without this sort of giant event that puts you in this position where you're like able to recognize it.
Yeah. I talk all the time about like, it's like I'm so torn by like all the shit I went through growing up. Like, what if I had taken it all away, but I wouldn't be the same person that I am today? I certainly would not like to go through that again. But like, what would I be without that?
It's hard too, because like you said, like the stuff that shapes you, it shapes you in every way. It's not just the good ways. It's like also like, the bad ways.
Yeah, also the bad ways too. This is like the time when we would normally start to talk about homework, but like you're already doing all the homework. And we have this thing that we give to some people called the Great You Plan, and it's like this like structured thing, and it's like structured, but not at all structured because you can make it your own, and it's like a 5-year lookout. I don't need to give you any work, or I wouldn't even, because you're probably doing more work than I'm doing. But I'm just curious, like for you, what do you think, like Will from 5 years from now, like what's he saying to you, and like where do you think you'll be, or where do you want to be?
I hope he looks back in understanding. And what I would love to hear now is, hey, you're in a place where you're more fully yourself, where you aren't as reactionary to things around you and much more sure of yourself. Because I think right now for me, it's very accepting. It's hard for me to accept that this is who you are, and yes, there are things that need to change, but also there's a lot about yourself that is okay. And I think I would love to be more fully me and not necessarily reacting to the world around me, if that makes sense, and the people around me, and saying, you're going to be okay as yourself in the moment. And the more you are yourself in the moment, the more I think other people will recognize that too. So I think I would love in 5 years to have a better sense of who I am and just be more comfortable in that, and
comfortable in your own skin.
Exactly. And realize that that's what people want from you.
What's so cool about that is, first of all, I think you're probably already so much more comfortable in your skin than you recognize. But like just knowing that you want to be able to name it and own it is pretty amazing. But I just get this feeling of like, what could show up when that happens for you?
Yeah.
Anything and everything, right?
It's not, basing my self-worth on the career. It's just sort of saying, no matter what happens on the outside, I'll be okay on the inside because I'm happy with who I am. The more I think I get comfortable with myself, the more, like you said, I think I'll be surprised, hopefully, about what can happen, with relationships and with the world around me.
Yeah. And just like since we're in like the reflecting space, you've already been through one of the most devastating, horrific things that one could do. And you came out on the other side, and you're coming out on the other side in a way that's like, I want to be the best person I could be. I think there are many people who go through something like that and come out on the other side like, fuck the world. You did this, and this is what happened to me. I mean, it's just, there's something so lovely about that.
And it's hard not to fall into that sometimes, like there's a lot of times that I feel like life has been really unfair. a lot of times I'll see happy couples or people getting engaged or married, or they're like celebrating their anniversary. And I just think it's so unfair, and I can be angry, and I'll have days where I'm really disappointed and just, and I think for me, it's trying to realize that's not what Courtney would have wanted at all. I think
No.
she, more than anybody, loved life and loved people and just loved, the possibilities that come along with that. And so for me too, it's trying to remember that and to honor her by living in a way that maybe isn't as bitter as I maybe had the right to be, and that's hard. That's really hard sometimes. It feels good to sink into that sometimes, like
Sure.
self-loathing is wonderful, and it's like
It really does have a time and place, doesn't it?
it does, yeah. like I'm the king of that sometimes, but I think for me it's more getting to celebrate the time I did have with Courtney, and getting to be. I think I've gotten better at that too. Is rather than it's being like it's so unfair the little time I got, it's like, man, we both spent so much time together that I got more of her than most people get from their spouse in a lifetime. She worked from home. She was a writer. She was a teacher. So we got to be together so much and spend so much time together. And so trying to realize that and live with that mindset versus the opposite, which is the glass half empty is, but there's time and
just
place for
knowing
everything.
you're going to have both. And when you go over there, you just don't go too long.
Yeah, exactly.
That you go and then you got to come back.
Exactly.
Because like we can't not have it. Like we're humans with feelings.
Yeah, and I think for me too, like my brain is very imbalanced in many ways, and I think
Welcome to Well-Adjusted.
Welcome.
Yes, for me personally, that's where my psychiatrist has really come in and helped, because she's found a way to, with the right medication and some trial and error, but we've really gotten to a place where I feel like I can go to those places, and it's not going to be.
It's not going to break you.
Like not going to break or go into my OCD tendencies or going to my depression, whatever. Like I can.
Steph is the only one who gets excited when someone says
I'm an
OCD.
OCD girly too.
Welcome, yeah.
It's awful.
Oh yeah, I'm in. It's very. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but hey, here we are. So to be in a place where you can have those moments where you're sad or you're scared or depressed or whatever it is, and not feel like I'm gonna fall into this well, which I've done plenty of times. And but yeah, it's in a good place right now, which is nice.
I was gonna say this before you said that you have OCD, but I'm gonna say it now, and I feel like it has another meaning, which is like the muscle that you're exercising of being like, oh, this is shitty, this is shitty, this is shitty, but I need to get myself out of it. Like
100%.
That is for sure a muscle. And if you have
100%.
OCD, that is so much fucking harder because you can find the proof that you need to be in that gross cycle, and you can add it on, and it becomes this one cycle that's now 45 different balls, and they're all real and
100%.
whatever. I know that you know what I'm saying. I don't know if anyone else can understand, but that is a muscle, and that is so fucking cool that you are able to do that in this moment that is so close to the tragedy.
Yeah.
Just it is a practice, and I feel
it really is, and
that's so cool.
The times for me that it's gone over the edge, and there have been some where it's for me it comes from not knowing what's coming next. Obviously we all search for control. That's really what everything comes down to, and especially OCD. But for me, it really is trying to, like we talked about earlier, live in the uncertainty, and that's a really hard muscle to keep working, because you do have to allow yourself to be I don't know what's happening with this, and that's okay, and not feel this need to sort of jump in and figure it out. But it is getting reps in, when you play basketball. It's shooting free throws. It's so hard to do, but it is something that you really have to get better at, and it's something I'm still working on, obviously, and it's just such a skill, and such something that you really, you're right, you have to stretch that muscle out before it can really take hold.
And you're doing it. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Which is just, do you think that, because it sounds like you've sort of entered this door. Like you're like walking through the store to like understanding yourself better. Do you think that's changed the way that you're looking at art you've made, or changing the way that you're like interacting with music in the future?
I don't think I'll ever go back. Let's put it that way. Even if it's not depressing music, I think people connected to it in a way that I didn't have before when I wasn't writing with sort of processing it, and I call it authenticity. It's just true being your authentic self in these songs. I think having a taste of that and realizing that it connects with people better than anything you could possibly dream up otherwise. Like we were talking about with the true self and my future self and all that, like when you come forward as that, people notice it. You know, there's a lot of talk now.
They don't know what it is, but they're drawn to you.
There is something about being authentic, and not like authentic like, oh, I sing with a twang and I play folk music. I mean authentic like if you are... I have friends who make the corniest music ever, but they are the corniest person I've ever met. And it is so true to them that people love it. And I love it because it's like, man, like that is you. And I love that about you. And for me, it's realizing that I don't have to put on a front. I don't have to try to think of the audience when I'm writing this. And the audience, I think, notices that, like you said.
The worst thing you can do is try to come from that point of view.
100%. And I don't think people can put the finger on it, but I think they know it when they see it, which is why I'm not worried about AI stuff. But we can talk about that later. But, it's like there's an authentic self that comes with it that once you get a taste of it as an artist, I think it's really hard to go back. So I think you're right. Like, I don't think, even if I'm writing, which I want to, a happy album next, I think it's going to come from a place that is
when you are happy.
More authentic me than it would be before, when I was like, all right, what's a happy song sound like? What does the audience want to hear? What does this crowd like? But it is funny. It is, even with acting, I think with painting, I think with writing, I think with any kind of art, as I get older, the more I realize like the stuff that really connects, and I'm not talking like, oh, this is catchy. I mean like really connects with people is just, it's the most authentic stuff. And I think you can sniff out someone who's not authentic miles away.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why working on yourself or finding yourself, what do you want to call it, as an artist is so exciting, because the more you get to know yourself, I think the more that comes out in the music and the more people connect with it in a way that maybe they wouldn't before.
It's like a win-win-win-win-win.
Yeah. It's a domino effect.
Well, I just want to say you are lovely. It's like, I'm so proud of you, for all this work that you're doing and the way that you're highlighting Courtney and processing your grief and then putting it out there for all kinds of people. Like, I feel like this conversation will be something that many, many, many people will be able to connect to. So I'm thankful that you decided to share it with us.
No, thank you so much for having me. This is such a treat. You know, it's like, it's rare you get to delve into this stuff. And it's fun to get to do that with, not fun, but it was fun.
Well, still fun.
You are very fun.
Fun and grief.
I would call it refreshing to be able to chat with you all, because this is something that is probably one of the biggest things in my life right now. And, you rarely get to talk about it. So it's fun. Yeah. It's really nice to get to chat with people who also understand that. And with an audience that I think is probably very in tune with, what that journey might feel like. Maybe not exactly, but it's nice to have a fellow journeyman coming along with it.
Well, on the flip side of that, it's also very nice to be able to talk to someone who is like, I don't know, like you're processing this in so many different ways. You're making art, you're talking to people about it, you're doing your own journey, you're doing things publicly. Like, that's really cool. And I hope you're taking time. I know we didn't give homework because it sounds like you're doing a lot, but I do hope that you are having more moments where you're sort of like high-fiving yourself, because I do think you're doing
that.
I
need to do that more. So
even when we say we're not giving homework, we still do it.
I'll send you the text. Look in the mirror, high-five yourself, bro.
I appreciate that. I need it.
Take yourself out for some golf.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, can you tell people, like, first of all, I know they want to hear your music and they want to buy the book. So tell people where they can get all that information.
I have a Instagram page, WillieJ1234. It's also on TikTok. That's kind of the space where I geek out about music. My music, Will Anderson Music everywhere, all one word, is kind of where you can find it. And you can search Will Anderson on anywhere you stream music to find the album. It's the only thing I've ever put out, so it's pretty easy. Courtney's book is coming out on October 14th on Amazon, your local bookstore. You can order it, whatever wherever you get your books. It's called A Bright and Borrowed Light, poems by Courtney Campa, Kampa. And I can't stress this enough. It is poetry for people who don't like poetry, but who want more than quotes. So it is real poems, but for people like me who don't read it, it is the best thing you'll ever read. So
Amazing.
I can't recommend it enough.
Well, thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for having me. This was absolutely a blast.
So it's an odd thing to say that talking about grief is one of my favorite things to talk about, but I really can't think of any other topic where we're all so confronted with so many of life's biggest moments, from loss to loneliness to what's next. And I am so glad when we can find the moments of levity in something that is so heavy or deep or intense. And I'm really glad that Will allowed us to chat about all of it. While we were chatting, though, I just kept thinking, God, I can't wait to go take a listen to his album. And I can't help but think you might be feeling the same way. So first of all, go ahead and stream it, buy it, do all the things. But before we go, we're going to leave you with his song, How Little Love Is, How Worth Everything.
You're wonderful.
Funny, I don't know.
There's a magnificence in you.
Love, please stay in the light. I can't see your face. Tell me where you are. You seem so far away. I'm lost like an echo, drifting into space. And I don't wanna let go, but like a raindrop hits the sea, you made a wave that came and crashed into me. Now every tear makes me believe how little love is, how worth everything, how worth everything.
Your eyes and your voice and the way you stand there and the way you walk. You're lit from within.
Oh love, 6 months to the day. The tense I use is wrong. I play semantic games, so I don't have to say you're gone. And I know the hollow, but the words are all I've got. And I don't wanna let go, but like a raindrop hits the sea, you made a wave that came and crashed into me. Now every tear makes me believe how little love is, how worth everything, how worth everything.
I don't want to be worshipped. I want to be loved. Really loved.
I see it all. Your dress is white, running barefoot through grass. Your face is smiling, now we're in the back of the truck by the beach with our dog in your arms, but it's fading, you're fading. Now we're in the church, you're dressed in white as you come through the door. Wait, now I'm in the car and they're calling me back, saying you're on the floor and they can't find a pulse. I should have kissed you, I miss you, you faded, but like a raindrop hits the sea. You made a wave that came and crashed into me. Now every tear makes me believe how little love is, how worth everything. 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 How little love
Young, it seems to me. The time to make up your mind about people, isn't it? And a complete one. You think? Thank you.
Hello?
For more Robin, and you may need that, you probably don't need it, but like if you do, you can follow me at Real Rob Hops on all the platforms, all the socials, as the kids today say. Well Adjusting is an Edit Audio original series. It's exec produced by Steph Colburn and Robin Hopkins. Our producer and editor is Maria Passingham, and our production manager is Kathleen Speckert. Thank you to the entire Edit Audio team and to you for listening. Oh, hey, before you take out those AirPods, this show is just for entertainment. If you are in need of help, please, please, please reach out to a professional. Go ahead and get that help. You deserve it.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredelioQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.